What's good people, man? This is your boy Sean P in the place to be. Um, Coming to you live from the Master Warrior Clan YouTube channel. Please like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're live. Before I actually get into this build, it's not going to be long. It's going to be brief, but I do want to go ahead and state my piece as far as what am I witnessing during the back and forth of our brothers and teachers in scholarship as far as this interpretation of Black people or identifying Black in Kemet and what the Remech are saying about themselves. And are we using the proper tools to assess that information with some of the handicaps that we may have in properly addressing questions? I don't think that we've actually got a research question. Now, mind you, Medjai says that he is a rapper. He's more than a rapper. He's a teacher. He's a lyricist. He's a scribe. He's a Medjai, right? He's ancient Kemet through and through. I ain't letting you get away with calling yourself just a rapper, Medjai. Nah, not getting away with it. In all due respects, you are a teacher. You're a lyricist, poet, a father, a friend, someone who puts in work, a truth seeker, right? Like I said, a scribe, a magi. You talk about it and then you live it and you walk it. So I ain't letting you downgrade yourself in this conversation when it comes to that. Now, I know you're not going to dedicate enough time to actually properly address certain things regarding the subject matter, but I've seen you do it before on a scholastical manner. It's one of the reasons why we have the handbook of the conscious community, because you felt the need to provide a tool for people who are coming into the conscious community that lacked certain information that would be privy to them and would get them out of the realm of falling into traps. So here we are today, and we're back into another beautiful build. And I think that for most of us who appreciate scholarship, right, this is right in the realm of where we want to be. So with that being said, on the flip side, man, while people are still coming in the building, please like the show, share the show, and tell a friend that we're actually live. And make sure that the Magi gets this and all others who want to be, have been a part of the conversation, which I don't really, never mind. I'll tell y'all on the flip side.
Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
In Africa, we had a reason to be born there. So we have a God. We have our gods and we have our mode of worship.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap go. Come on. Kings, got us good like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
Freedom's what we need, more solutions is the key. Wave the banner of the free, that's the red, black, and green. Bringing truth to the streets, war to get no enemy. If it's peace, we at ease. If it's war, we don't cease. EYE's on the crackers and police. Never slack up even when we free, cause we ain't free until we get the land, that's the green. Black power, new African, liberated from the thieves, nothing better else to be.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us good like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
Stimulated cause I'm liberated. Rock me Africa medallion in the middle of the clan. Situation freedom come drum playing by the river. I deliver for my people. It's the sequel of revenge. My friends get ready. Every knee shell bow. Every tongue shell tail on the mountain I reveal. Throw the shells. Pour light side up. Dark wine up in my cup. Pour it out and then I strut. Alafia yeah.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your hair wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us good like we ain't Rap Brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
When Africa doesn't want to understand or participate in the reason why he was born,
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your hair wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us good like we ain't Rap Brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
see, Africa has not been able to contribute its own knowledge to this universe. But we have knowledge in Africa. You understand? Yeah, of course. You see, so all these things need to be in the education system of the African countries.
All right, so I see a couple people in the building. I do want to say peace to everybody that's tapped in presently. Rob, this won't be the show for that because I'm not going to be on here actually long, and I don't know if someone else is live. If they are live, more power to them. I'm just tapped in doing my thing right now, and I want to make sure that I actually get this addressed properly so that we can further the conversation because I'm all about scholarship. I ain't about emotions, feelings, none of that. And we're gonna deal with it how I see it needs to be dealt with, and we're gonna do it from there. So I don't know if Magi, if you're in the building or not, if you're on another panel, if you're on another channel, it's up to you. I don't know. I sent you the link, but anyway, so Magi's been making some strong arguments about the color of the Egyptians, stating that these people were actually either using this as an identifier. He's went into the, and I want to share my screen with people real quick, just so you know that he doesn't have a tool that none of us don't have. He actually showed you how to access the tool and get it going. So we all are familiar with what's going on when we use the TLA, right? This is the Thesaurus Linguae Egypti. All right, we all know where this takes us, but the problem that I actually have when it comes down to it, and I think people aren't really paying attention to it, is this translation right here, right? Overseer of the houses of the royal children. When we're looking at the J-Shes, right? Are we properly, and I'm saying this to everyone involved, are we properly breaking this text down for ourselves and coming to this translation, or are we accepting this translation? I'm not talking about Magi in particular. I'm talking about a lot of people who may have come to this assertion, because we do have a lot of people that don't utilize this tool, who don't utilize the dictionary, who don't utilize all the written works on the subject to actually get us to a point of where we need to be. And they're just reading English translations all day, and then they are appealing to the authority of the translator to come up with a sensible translation. And that can't be our case. We got too many great minds in our community now at this point to deal with what we need to deal with. So Sean, what are you saying, bro? Let's deal with it. What are you actually Saying. All right, so let me get into what I'm actually saying. When you're using proper research methodology, are you scientifically diving into the text and extracting these particular things that you say are stated, right? To hell with a live stream. We all can work out certain things and support our biases on a live stream. I'm not talking about Smash in particular. I'm saying everyone involved in the conversations. Is our ego that big that we can't remove our bias and start from scratch and then build upon their body of knowledge and then come to a sensible conclusion at the end of our build? Could we not demonstrate that live as a people? We have so many conversations going on. We got a panel full of people talking about things and arguing different perspectives and ideologies on a subject matter. Then we have people in the chat keeping up the confusion, acting like they're engaged in it, but trying to argue from ignorance and have nothing to do with the subject matter or the conversation at all. And then you have another group of people who are just there pretty much as to instigate and to support their confirmation biases. So I want to start off right now by playing this video on critical thinking. If you've been on here before, you've seen me do this before, but this is very valuable in what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about what Wujah was talking about. I'm not talking about what Asar talking about. I'm not talking about what Smash talking about. I'm not talking about what Asar M. Khan talking about. I'm not talking about what Netanyahu talking about. None of them. Because none of what they say at the end of the day for me determines my conclusion. My conclusion is based on where the evidence leads me. I don't care what they show on the screen. I don't care nothing about source up. No, I'm doing this thing scientifically through and through. So at the end of the day, once you've had all the information and you assessed it, your voice matters.
Your voice. That was one of the criticisms at the beginning there, the lecture feedback. Yes, but what do you think? So the marker, the reader of your essay, is going to be very disappointed if you sum up what are the main points of view on this particular subject, and then there's no conclusion, or there's a conclusion, but it doesn't include your view on it. You're summing up. Because if you don't sum up, if you don't give your view, then you've opted out. And the reader's going to be rather frustrated because they want to find out, well, what do you think? What's your summing up? It's like the judge. You know, you're in the court there. You've listened to all the evidence. It's been very interesting. And then the judge is going to sum up, and the judge is gone. Hasn't said anything. Well, what's the verdict? What's your verdict? Now, sometimes it's not possible to arrive at a verdict in the sense of that there is not enough evidence to go one way or another. Maybe the evidence is evenly balanced. And it would be artificial if you flicked a coin, or if you said, oh, I just think this is very, very slightly more likely than it's more or less equal. So it's perfectly fine to write that. Based upon the evidence, it is not possible to arrive at a conclusion. And very often, academics will write that in academic journals. More research needs to be done. That's fine, as long as you've reasoned it out and looked at all the evidence.
And this is where we are. We haven't properly reasoned it out and looked at all the evidence. We are either taking one side or the other side, and then we're not properly assessing certain things. So when people do live streams, and again, I'm not pointing fingers. I know this says assessing the Medjai, right? But when we do this, we run into this issue because we're in the moment. We're kicking the flavor. We're doing the damn thing. We in our build. We're using the TLA. We're going in the dictionary. We're extracting certain terminologies. We're parsing text. We're laying it out on the line. But are we really looking for something that supports our bias? Or are we really challenging ourselves to go against our bias and put it to the test? Scrutinize that in demonstration live. And this tends to be lost in translation when we're having this conversation. Why? I'm gonna tell you right now. Wujaru frustrated the hell out of me the other day. Instead of pulling up the text and actually dealing with the argument on the black, referring back to the title listed, he wanted to take the long way, the teacher's way, right? To because he's looking at the audience and not so the panel. But everyone in the audience isn't actually a student. So it frustrated me because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it and I'm like, would y'all just get to the point, right? Of demonstrating uh, you know, I know you want to use the proper methods. I know you don't want to deter from the proper methods. And I know you want to walk through the steps. And I know you're trying to use it as a teaching moment. But these people don't all respect the teaching moment. And then at the time, our people's egos get in the way, and then information is conflicted. And then you have people choosing sides. And then the people choosing sides doesn't even properly understand what's going on, because what? They can't remove the emotions from what's being said. And that's a problem in this community. I'm going to say that again because I don't think that people really understand what I'm saying. People don't know how to remove the emotions from what's being said. So they begin to go somewhere. So forget the ego, forget the arrogance. Is what Smash saying correct? Is what Wujawu saying correct? Is what Asar is asserting correct? Is what Diop concluded correct? What about Obanger? Is he correct? What can we prove to move forward as a people? So 9 times out of 10, we have people that enter the chat and they come and ask questions because they're trying to support their biases. So they begin these type of conversations about race in ancient Egypt to support their confirmation bias. Mind you, all these black people that are involved in these conversations, right? Or in the not on the panels, but in the chats or asking questions already have a bias, people. They already want to say Egypt was black Africa. So if you ask me, what I said, because I didn't been on people's channels and I didn't argue for Africans distinctively looking like us in that area running that damn thing on other platforms before. And based on time period, we began to see these new style of Egyptians, right? As people begin to come in, foreigners begin to come into the land, and then you get the mixing and you get the scientific part of it where you got these people attracted to one another. Then they begin to create what Chancellor Williams called a new Egyptian. You see the shades begin to change over certain time periods, but you have other people arguing from an amalgamation like Egypt was America. But that couldn't be the case because America, the dominant population is Europeans, and the second dominating population is Mexicans, and the third is black people. And then you have all the other ethnicities or the groups of peoples, right? So a lot of people enter this conversation looking for, and I'm saying this very precisely, a lot of people enter this conversation to get smashed to confirm their bias. They're looking for it. I watched it on his channel today in the chat. They're looking for it. They're looking for someone else to argue against original research and proper research methodology so that they can say, the hell with that. Why y'all got to say this or why y'all got to say that? Now, mind you, I argue with everybody. I'm the middle of the road guy here. I don't go either way. But I learn from Smash. I learn from Wujawu. I learn from Asar. I learn from Asar MK. I learn from Brother Reggie. I learn from Theophilo Banga. I learn from Diop. That's the beauty of it all. Is I can extract them. I can use them as tools to teach me what not to do. Right? It's like my gift when I came into the community. And Kofi says this a lot. He says, you was just lucky because you came into the community and you immediately had some people that you could refer to. So that's how I look at information. If it feels too good, something wrong with it for me. If all I'm looking for is to support my blackness, that's a messed up view. That's a bad assessment of the information that I just reviewed. I'm looking to confirm my bias. I don't want it to be uncomfortable research, because the moment it gets uncomfortable, I believe I'm going to reject it and not receive the teaching moment in it. And we have a lot of people in the community that does that. So I want to just read real quickly to the impact and the purpose of an overview of confirmation bias in science, some examples and opportunities for improvement, because we all stand to improve in this area. Peace, peace, peace. I'm glad it's, people coming in, and I don't know if you rocking with the information or not, but I'm really just trying to just give you the raw truth. For real. So, with that being said, human thought processes are not perfect. We face cognitive errors daily. Confirmation bias is a common error committed by people, and contrary to thoughts of many scientists are not immune to committing this same error. So when we appeal to authority, or we say we're deferring to authority, we don't know if they are committing this same error. And I say that because if we don't have the same tools, we don't understand how to read the same way they're reading, if we don't understand how to disseminate information the way that they disseminate information, or know the steps, the proper methods to come to that honest conclusion, then we don't know if they are committing this same error, because we ain't got the tools to qualify or disqualify their assessment. We're handicapped. We over here and we on these channels and we popping our collars and we playing into the emotions of the crowd. And I'm watching this and I'm bearing witness to all of this and seeing how people are coming and all of this. And I'm like, y'all are afraid to challenge y'all own bias. We are messed up. Diop told all of us not to believe a word he said, to challenge his information, correct where he's wrong, and move the thing forward. We all claim to be science enthusiasts, but we scared to do scientific work and advance the topic further. So I'm going to say it one more time. Scientists are not immune to committing this same error. It's a tendency to believe that you're right. So when Medjai was popping his collar today, it's a tendency for one, and there's nothing negative about it. We all do that. We tend to think that we're right. And I'm not dismissing if he was right or wrong. That's not my point. I'm assessing the Medjai, disregarding things that conflict with your ideas. See, confirmation bias is reinforced with time. As scientists, we want the public to trust science. Scientists and the data they put forth, because they have confidence that scientists are intelligent, honest, and follow procedures that ensures validity of the data and the results. When we look at the TLA, how do we know that they properly translated this text correctly if we don't have the full context of the text, where we can go through the text ourselves and put context on it, and then come to a sensible translation using the methods and the tools of grammar and how it acts and all of that old finicky things that people get bored with, right? Because we know when we're breaking down Medu Neter, it's a tedious job. There's 4 steps. We can't run from them. We have to identify the direction. Then we got to start going through and identifying signs. Then we got to start grouping the signs. And then we got to put them together to make a word and come up with a sensible translation. Those are steps that we have to go through. But we know that people you don't have time to get those walkthrough moments. I'm saying right now in this particular conversation, I think that playing to the crowd can sometimes misconfuse the real message. See, this is why you have to remove the emotions from what's being said and focus on what is being said. Take the emotions out of it. Take your emotions out of it. Take the person that's saying the emotions out of it. So if he's talking, if for instance, because Medjai, he don't be directly, and I can say this because I know how pure Medjai's heart is. When he's saying stuff, he ain't trying to attack you like that. He might be, you know what I mean? He a man and he gonna stand up and he ain't gonna let you disrespect him and so on and so forth. But ultimately, he gonna let that shit rock out and slide to the left, and he gonna build like it never happened. He gonna move on from it because it ain't stopped none of his money, none of the other things that he got going on. It ain't, you know what I mean? It ain't that personal for him. So his teaching style is different. Wujahu's teaching style is different. It'll frustrate the hell out of you for some of y'all that ain't even privy to it. Same with Asar. All of them are technical, but in their own ways. But what we have to do is we have to slow these things down and understand what are the methods here that we need to know, and then how could we demonstrate those methods and assess this information properly so that we're not using a bias to confirm our beliefs. However, scientists are human and equally capable of succumbing to faulty thinking processes as everyone else. So when you have a brother on the channel talking about they have a problem with appealing to authority, and when you say appeal to authority, appeal to the authority, we supposed to. The consensus is this, the consensus is that. How the hell do you know that the consensus all came to the same conclusion when all they did was succumb to support of a particular person's work? Because the consensus at one point in time was all rock and budge information. At one point in time. Then a consensus was filling another particular person's body of knowledge. And then you had James P. Allen and others that was correcting other people. And then all of a sudden you start to see this imbalance of sensible translations. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being corrected. I learn from my corrections. I'm not that type of person. But this tells you why you shouldn't appeal to authority. Because scientists are human and equally capable of succumbing to faulty thinking processes as everyone else. So I'm telling y'all, if we got the tools, then we should be able to replicate the study. And if we know how to replicate the study, then we can come up with an honest conclusion based on evidence that we assessed, that we did the work on, and we did it using the proper steps. So the onus is on the scientists and the scientific community to put forth the best and most unbiased data possible. There's a field called Egyptology. I heard another brother Unc West, or Bobby Banger, when he talk about Kemet, he Unc West, by the way. So when Unc is talking about Kemet, he says that the field of Egyptology is racist. That there's a level of racism that actually exists. So there's a level of bias data when it comes to the Remech. Once you've accepted that, then you know, well, what tools did they use, and we can weed out the biases. You move forward. Now, the purpose of because this is a presentation, and I actually have the presentation, but I'm not going to read this second part, is to deal with a session of going through stage confirmation biases, how to recognize them, their approaches, and things of that nature. I just wanted to deal with this first portion of it right here. Now, I told you I actually have it because it's a download slide at the end of this that takes you to a PDF overview where you can go through and properly assess the presentation and get into the confirmation bias training right here. So anyone that actually wants this, I will properly provide that for you so you can get into the perspectives of that. So I have questions, because when we're looking at the primaries, and we're looking for things like skin or color and things like that, right? We need to understand that these words have multiple meanings. They all don't succumb to one particular meaning, and then that's it. Because the glyphs are going to tell us how to actually assess what's going on. For instance, the word "imin," right, means hidden, right? But it also has other meanings. If you put a T on it, it can mean the West. But we want to deal with skin in this particular assessment. So here we go in Vegas and we look at it, we see here in them is skin. Do we have a problem with that? No. Can we go find that in the text corpus? Absolutely. All we have to do is make sure that we're putting in the proper assessment. So we will put JNM and then it should take us somewhere. So when we reset, right, we should be able to go in here because we know we're dealing with Germans. Go back. Reset. We know when we're dealing with Germans, we got to put the J in there. We should be able to get our word up out of that. So we get our word up out of it. Out of these attestations, we only get one that has this particular glyph in reference to what we're looking at in the dictionary. But right here, these glyphs didn't have that. It's a whole different thing. So we would have to go in and do a little bit more. So now I need to go find, right? I need to go find the skin with the glyph. I'm doing additional. I'm going backwards, forwards, backwards. You know, measure twice, cut once is what they all say. But we have to go and we have to find the assessment of what we at. Now, hold up, because I think I did something incorrectly here. Well, not incorrectly. I think I might have skipped a word. But you see this? It's reading from right to left in this one. So it ends with the skin glyph at the back. You got the owl, you got the reed leaf, right? The fish, the water, reed leaf. So we can go in the dictionary and see if we come to that. But we didn't come to skin in that way. But we can go in and we can break down if you know how to do the steps properly, right? You can go down there, you can put in, pull your book out, use your tools, and properly put in all the sign list items to come up and get scanned if you can find it in the dictionary. Now, you also can follow along the yellow brick road and deal with what everything else is saying and go through the breakdowns and see the short references and word class and deal with all of that and see that this is saying the same thing that we should see in the book: skin of a man, hide of an animal, skin color, whatever. Okay, but that's not it. We need the entire context. Now watch this. We do this for color. IWN. You can do the same thing with that. IWN. You know, we should be able to come up with some stuff that'll take us down the yellow brick road and we find the attestations and then we go through and deal with what we need to deal with. But as people are reviewing this particular work and talking about this particular subject, a lot of us that are in the comments, are we really here to learn or are we really here to argue or to find an argument so that people can one up? Hold on 1 second, because y'all know I'm working too. Right? So look, I put that in. Now I can go back to the dictionary and I can go look and see how many different versions of this come up. But look, when I put color in, I get this skip, the skin. I get that, right? I get that. But then when you start looking at this with just this word, look, just using this glyph has many different interpretations. Lowercase w, uppercase s. It would mean be destroyed, be empty, incomplete, missing. It's the D3 glyph. If you look in your sign list, right? Let me take you to the Sesh Metal Nature sign list. We all do this work, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I'm saying, in order to, we can really answer our own questions if we really wanted to get together and do some work. It ain't about doing anything or just trying to argue all day long, right? We really can do the actual work and, and handle our business the way that we need to. So I'm going to the session. I'm going to the D3, and look what we have here. This says hell. Go through and determine all these different things. You can go to another sign list. If you don't like that sign list, you can go over here to pyramidtextonline.com, pull up a dictionary, go through all that, and deal with what you want to deal with. Anyway, this D3 glyph is significant and is a part of this conversation because it's supposedly dealing with complexion, color, nature, disposition. You see that? Complexion, color, nature, disposition. So on page 54, Vigus, 2018 edition. Right? But you will see this in other instances, and it could have a totally different meaning. So now we got to put together the whole argument and not a half-ass argument. I ain't calling nobody no names. So when I assess the Medjai's work, I'm removing the shit talking. I'm removing, if anybody else is on the panel with them, I'm removing the emphasis on certain things, and I'm dealing with specifically a couple of things. The primary, where it's located. And can I come to that same honest conclusion based on my interpretation of that text? What are the words before that? What are the words after that? Not just this word. What are the words before that and after that? And yeah, you'll see Smash. He'll come through and beat you up, and he'll show you, like, for instance, let's deal with this. He'll click on this right here, and he'll get to what says, see, color. Then he'll take it a step further, and he'll get into the attestations, and then y'all didn't know that I can do that, or didn't know that I know how to use this. Duh, we all had to learn how to do this, or even get in the Waterbach, the dictionary written in German that's handwritten. That's a mess. But we can do our own work. We got enough metal netchers, quote unquote, like to call people in the community, scholars, to actually put together a body of knowledge on our end and make it our contribution to the rest of the world who look like us and or academia. Straight up and down. So then you might see him saying, look, it says this over here. It is the heart that multiplies the character traits, a teacher and brave or brave teacher, to give birth to behavior, the nature of what happened. There's some assertions here, right here, all in this area right here that we can deal with, that we may need to let me go through and see if I can come up with that same translation once I find the actual primary and move forward and all of those things. Because remember, I said that the word IWN, Ewin, can also mean nature. Look, the knowledgeable cannot recognize his, i.e., the humble nature. So we got to see the entirety, the whole scope, not a half scope, the whole scope. When we're going through and we're doing all of this, we need the whole scope, not the half scope. Not saying that he did that or anything like that. I'm just telling people how I am looking at the methodology being demonstrated. Yep, I'm a method head. But what's more important is I know how to do this, ladies and gentlemen. Use the thinking map, skillful analysis and evaluation of arguments. So when I'm hearing people say certain things in the chat and on a live stream, I'm saying, what is or are the main conclusions? What are the reasons and their structure? What is assumed? Clarify the meaning of the terms of the claims that are unclear. I'm assessing the arguments critically. I ain't believing nobody. I'm done believing. I'm beyond that. Listen, I'll argue with whoever you bring in front of me. I don't believe them. I don't take nobody at face value. I think everybody trying to get over on me. Once you have analyzed all the other stuff, then can you evaluate that? Are the reasons acceptable? Listen to this. And this ain't a shot at nobody, right? Because I'm staying right down the middle. I'm assessing everybody. Even though I call this assessing the Medjai, I'm trying to get people to really hone in on, are you really thinking critically in the middle of these conversations and using your fingers to comment the way that you do, or get on the chat? I mean, and get on the live streams when the link is available and muddy the damn waters. Are the reasons acceptable? What was the reasons? These include reasons and unstated assumptions, and this may involve evaluating factual claims, definitions, and value judgments, and judging the credibility of the source. How credible are the sources? How reliable are they? What tools and methods did we use to make the assessment to provide an acceptable reason? Does the reasoning support its conclusion? Is the support strong, for example, beyond reasonable doubt, or is it weak? So when one says, show me the skin glyph in your translation on how you come to the assessment that they were referring to, skin color, there's additional evidence that is required. We can't assert, and we can't assume, and we can't rely on other people's translations, because they could be supporting their own bias. Now, I know some people are going to be like, why would they support being black? Blah, blah, blah. You got to go dig into the word black, and we can deal with that. What does it mean? Does it actually mean the title, as Wu Jia stated? What other works could be done to elaborate on why is this so-called X, Y, and Z, the black, only used during the 6th dynasty and no other period at the time? Is there other periods where something is used, a color is used as a title in the history of the Remech? See, we gotta look at all, we gotta assess all of this, ladies and gentlemen. We can't assess half of this shit. We gotta assess all of this. How you gonna come to a sensible conclusion when all you got is two people arguing something and you ain't critically thought about nothing that either one of them have argued and came to a sensible conclusion? So, does the reasoning support its conclusion? Are there other relevant considerations, arguments, which strengthen or weaken the case? You may already know these or may have to construct them, but most people don't even know how to do that, because we don't even know how to overall assess the argument. We don't use the thinking map. Ladies and gentlemen, this book is about critical freaking thinking, and I'm telling you right now, we ain't even using it. We being misled, and I ain't saying it's mass. I ain't saying Wujawu. I ain't saying Asar and everybody else involved is saying these things. I'm saying the people that have come before them, who have put this information in our face, could be leading us astray, because we're succumbing to faulty thinking processes as everyone else, as it states right here. I'm not, look, I know I don't want to be read to death. I hear all the biases all day long. I hear people whispering, talking about me behind my back, all of that. I don't care. I don't care. I'm looking at this totally different than everybody else. Look at that. Complexion, color, nature, disposition. Right? With the Z3 right there, the 3 single strokes. Right? I ain't taking away from the assertion of that. We can continue to go on. Look, Kim, color, Ka'ah, right? Valuable material, substance, right? We don't have to do certain things. Dama, colored, apron. But look at the glyphs. Look at the glyph patterns. It keeps going on. The Remech got too many meanings for simple words like color. I think we can mount a more sensible argument based on properly assessing the data that we're trying to bring forward and using that as a research question for everybody to attack. Therefore, we can weigh our options accordingly and use critical thinking and proper research methods to draw that honest conclusion versus me appealing to your emotions or appealing to authority or appealing to a populace, because that's all consensus is appealing to a populace. And that's an error because some people don't even like the whole consensus approach. Because if you get 10 panelists that all agree on one particular thing and none of them and nine of them didn't even do the work, they just accept the one person's thing, you wouldn't be able to identify or know that. You have to go in and do that work for yourself. So I don't care who on the panel, who arguing. I want to know where is the work. Medjai, this ain't it you. Don't show me the TLA. Don't show me the dictionary. Take me to the primaries. Let's walk through the steps. This is for everybody. Let's walk through the steps. Let's see what kind of translation we get off the entirety of the text. And then we can correct all of those intricate pieces like the grammar and all of these different things for most people that's unfamiliar with it, and do the tedious work so that we can come up with a sensible translation and deal with what we need to deal with. Because I think that most of the people aren't privy to how hard this work actually is and what we really got to do to actually honestly come to a conclusion on it. Because there can be some attestations or there can be some information that will come back and correct Brother Smash in the process of some of the things that he asserted, and then there's other things that actually can come back and correct Wujawu in his assertion, right? But we have to be studious in our approach. So I put in the word black for a reason, because we want to paint Egypt black. The reason we want to paint Egypt black is because we felt like for years that they were trying to take us out of history, that they were trying to take the presence of black people in ancient Egypt out of history. We were reminded of this racist ideology when another channel and those members of that channel were opponents of the idea that this was an African civilization. They deemed it a Mediterranean civilization. They deemed it an Arabic, you know what I mean, an Asiatic uh, ideology and things of that nature. Like, come on, man. So everybody knows that if you look at the word Kim, it means black and it's an adjective, and the I6 glyph, G17 glyph, and the D3 glyph is present. But also, those same glyph patterns could mean to be blind. So the same thing that can mean black can also mean to be blind. And the same thing that can mean black and to be blind could also mean to be dark. And the same thing that can mean all of those things can take it a step further depending on a glyph pattern, and it can mean shield. But of course, you got the Akim in there. I'm saying all of that to say we have to look at the totality of the text in order for us to come to a sensible translation and not an assumption. As you can see, and it's often mentioned, the great black. But there's question marks in the dictionary. What great black? What do you mean? What's the rest of that? The great black what? Right? Kimweer. But Kimweer can also mean bitter lake regions. Athribis. It can mean the black, right? Referring to Wasir or men. It could also mean a snake. You get Kim, Kimyet, Kimiyet, completion, conclusion, Kimiyet, conclusion. You see how those words are I don't know why I went there, but it always come back right here. Kim to be black. Kemet, Egypt. That's the way the dictionary does it. Now, for all the people that want to argue about the 049 glyph, you need to go look at the argument in the text. This is basically, it's not crossroads. Some people argue that it's crossroads, But if you extract it, you'll see two canals. If you don't like that approach of it, and you just want to agree or disagree with brothers who put forth the argument, a sound argument that it's the riparian zone, then don't even get into it. Because guess what? I got Reggie's work. I got Reggie's argument, and Reggie had help with his information. And I read Reggie's whole assertions, and then him going to the black bull or the black cattle and all of that other stuff. Like, I did that. See, the black land, Egypt. There you go, going through there. Like, there's so many. Kemet can also mean completion, final account. The glyphs mean something, ladies and gentlemen. Not this word that's transliterated. It's the glyphs that outrank the transliteration. Look, Kim, you know that same word that you thought to mean black could also mean twinkling, could also mean complete, could also mean black, could also mean total up, amount to, complete, put an end to, pay, completion, profit, duty, space. The same glyph patterns right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same glyph pattern 5 times in a different manner have several different meanings here, but they all say Kim. I got you. I got you, Smash. I see what you're saying. Nah, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, yeah, no, because it ain't just about the metal nature. You know, over here on the Mossy, we gonna deal with we got some Egyptian stuff over here, but we also got West Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, East Africa. You know what I mean? We just don't leave that out of there. But you know, we get into all of that, and we got science all up and down this joker. But I'm just saying in general, and you're absolutely correct in what you're saying. We all know it's a digital text corpus. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm saying is we have to make sure that we do our due diligence as a body, as a group, right? And I'm saying whether we all have our differences, but everybody that's trying to be in these arguments, whether they are trying to either get to the truth. If you're trying, listen, let me say it like this. If you're trying to get to the truth, then you need to learn how to decipher the script. You need to learn Medu Neter. If you feel like you don't need to learn Medu Neter and that you could skip that step and still come to an honest conclusion, you're going to come to a faulty conclusion because you did not want to use the tools to help you answer the question. Period, point blank. So when my brother Pan African kept saying that he can go to the pottery and tell from pottery that the people was black, that would be a false equivalent, because the way that you assess, how the hell you assess pottery with how people look? Logically, that doesn't make any sense. But it goes back to my point. We have a lot of people that's interjecting into this conversation, and they're doing this. They are supporting their bias. They're looking for Smash to confirm their biases. They don't even know how wide Smash is. He's going to tell you that this word could mean a multitude of things. Then he's going to break it down. Then he's going to take you through the corp text. He's going to deal with all of that. But you're still going to be stuck with the assessment that he says that this meant that. It's a multitude of things that this word could actually mean. You got to pay attention to the glyphs. So I'm not gonna be on here long. I just want to say what I want to say. A lot of these conversations that's being had are people that are looking to support their biases. No one is really trying to take an unbiased approach toward this topic and hash it out accordingly. I'm not saying the Smash isn't. I'm not saying Asar Wujawu haven't done work, or Saim Carr, Reggie, and everybody. But we have to look at the totality of knowledge, and then we the people that are viewing the conversation have to think critically and use the roadmap to answer those specific questions honestly and know how they arrived at their conclusion. And that means we got to have proper research methodology, and we have to train ourselves to think critically and learn how to assess arguments, extract the information, and deal with it on a basis to help us know, all right, cool, we can go this way. Remove the damn emotions. Stop feeling a type of way. We know damn well, depending on the dynastic period, who was the dominant people or presence of people in that area earlier on, because they say that it comes from the south and all these other things. We know that the Rimage Smash already beat up other people and told y'all that this was an African civilization. This was no Mediterranean anything, right? So you know that there's going to be black people in the presence. This isn't no Asiatic dominance here. We know when the Asiatics come in because the Rimage tells us in the Table of Nations. So I was trying to ask the question, and I don't think that I really got to it because I was working and trying to tap into what Smash was going through. But I wanted to know for myself if there was a primary that existed or a Table of Nations out there that exists where we could see them identifying themselves by skin color among their neighbors. Now, I wasn't asking that to be sarcastic, argumentative, or anything like that. I was asking that for my own sake to add that into my assessment of what I've been reviewing and things like that. So we have a long way to actually go. He being messy. But yeah, we have to properly assess certain things, man. And look, I love what Medjai's doing because I took a break from Kemet. I love the language. I love getting into it. It's technical. It takes the metal nature removes the ignorant people out of the conversation, because when you start talking about the language, or you got to go in there and deal with a text and transliterate and translate a text, that separates the haves and the have-nots, that removes the people with the opinions, and that leaves the students there to actually do the tedious work to find out and extract the truth of what's being said in particular text. So I love the meta nature from that perspective. I love the way that Smash does his thing. He parses text, he provides context and everything. And Smash, if you didn't hear me earlier, I said again, you're more than a rapper. You're a lyricist. You're a teacher, right? You're a scholar, right? You know what I'm saying? You gave us the handbook to the conscious community because you felt like that we needed that tool, right? So you more than just a lyricist, my guy. You dumbed yourself down to just a rapper. Hell no. You talk investments. You know what I mean? You show us where to put our paper at. All of the whole 9 yards. Like, you take things, you extract things from ancient Kemet, which is what we're supposed to be doing, is extracting the things that worked in ancient Kemet and applying it to our everyday life. How did they achieve the amount of success that they actually had? Well, let's go look and see where they were successful at. It ain't always about this, that, and the third. Yeah, we can have those arguments with Hebrews and the things like that. But the truth of the matter is, what I was told earlier on in the game is that we need to be extracting the greatness up out of it and applying that. That came from multiple directions, but all of them were a part of the Amun-Ra squad. They were the only people to tell me that what I needed to do. They would, and maybe y'all might feel like that. I don't know. But they also were a group of people that told me how to properly train myself to deal with this information at a level to where I can scrutinize not only the information that I'm looking at, but also my teachers and peers, because my methodology isn't subjected to not only just beating up on pseudos, but hell, I can challenge people like Bobby, Smash, Asar, argue with Asar. I argue with Wujawu so much in the session chat is crazy. But they gave me that tool. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't take it serious enough to utilize that tool to help them in that damn real world to advance themselves further. So hell no, you ain't no rapper. You a lyricist. There's a big difference between a rapper and a lyricist guy. You know what I'm saying? But ladies and gentlemen, I just know how to remove the emotions out of things. And I think, and I'm gonna say this because he's in the chat, but I think that arguing with Unc, right? Because we talking Egypt. I can call him Unc when we talk about Egypt, because he's Unc when we talking about Egypt. He's Bobby Banger outside of Egypt. So when we talk about arguing with him, help me remove the emotions from the things and focus on the information what's being said, and then utilizing the tools to properly assess all dynamics of each of things and properly critique and assess the things forward. I think people don't like me because I challenge everybody, and it's cool, and I don't give a damn what somebody say. I don't take them at their word. I think y'all lying to me until I can come up to the same conclusion. I think you lying to me. No, we ain't at peace. We got a long way to go. Oh, you was asking her. My bad. So y'all couldn't see his comment because he had cuss words in it. But that's why it's very important for us to know that we can't take stuff for granted. When I'm boring y'all to death talking about research methodology and how to think critically, it's for a reason. Because we don't need James P. Allen no more. We don't need although he did great work. We don't need Budge. We don't need a lot of those people that Egyptologists defer to and think. We don't even need the field of today. I'm saying today, because of all the tools that we have today. We don't need really the body of Egyptology to help us do anything further. I mean, we need archaeologists, but even though that's a part of all of that, we need archaeologists to continue to do their digs and extract certain things to help us continue to show how right we are in our arguments when we make them. But we really don't need them because we got the biggest tool. We know how to read the damn glyphs. That supersedes everything. Then we can hash out the little other stuff on our own. Nah, ain't nobody being petty. I mean, at some point, I'll have a conversation and then he'll understand me when I have my conversation. And then I'll understand him when he has his reply. Until then, it's smoke because he keep taking shots. But nah, in all honesty, man, I want to applaud everybody that's partaking in this discussion. I'm learning on both sides. I never stop learning. I like when they argue because I don't look at it as arguing like drama or mess. I look at it as in how scholarship is done. There's no way scholarship works out for us or benefits us unless we get the heads bumping. Like when you get all the smart people heads bumping, you get the truth to hash out. It becomes uncomfortable. And what I'm trying to tell people is if you trying to ease that, if you trying to have that easy feeling of feeling good, that shit doesn't work in scholarship. If all y'all want to do is sit here and say, I'm just looking for something to support my bias. What's going on right now ain't for you. Just because you hear somebody might say something about this word mean black or this could be the skin glyph or this, that, and the third, that ain't for you. Yeah, that's Panther. That ain't me. Panther comment. And that's how things go. Yeah, people say steel sharpens steel, but also we don't know. I mean, if you didn't know anything about metal nature, you lost right now. You just stuck at with that feeling. This is why Diop said what he said. He said that we need to do the work and we don't need to believe him. And we still got people that believe everything Diop said, like he can't be wrong. I just showed y'all, and I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. I'm gonna read it again for the people in the back, right? That this is one of the biggest problems in our community, and it happens every day to normal people. This is it right here. Human thought processes are not perfect. We face cognitive errors daily. Confirmation bias is a common error committed by people, and contrary to the thoughts of many, scientists are not immune to committing this same error. It's a tendency to believe that you are right, disregarding things that conflict with your ideas. Confirmation bias is reinforced with time. As scientists, we want the public to trust science. Scientists and the data they put forth because they have confidence that scientists are intelligent, honest, and follow procedures that ensure validity of data and results. However, scientists are human and equally capable of succumbing to faulty thinking processes as everyone else. So, the onus is on the scientists and the scientific community to put forth the best and most unbiased data possible. So when we talk about ancient Kemet, we know that the field of Egyptology was built on racism, white supremacy. There's a lot of that. Now, it's not only, and this is the problem that I have with Bobby. Remember, outside of Egypt, he Bobby. He only argues that this racism exists in Kemet. That's how I feel about his when I listen to his arguments. On when he talk about Kemet, he believes that this race science only exists over there, like it can't exist nowhere else on the continent of Africa. And within these particular perspectives, that's how I feel. But at the end of the day, Panther said, y'all got to talk immediately. I'm down to mediate. I ain't bringing nothing up on YouTube. But at the end of the day, we got to assess things properly. And we got to we got to go back to this critical thinking map. This is one of the best books that people in our community should read. And I want to do people a big favor. If people are really serious about trying to actually learn, I mean, if you email, I'll put the email that you can email, but if you email it, I can send you this book, because this teach you how to really properly correct your confirmation bias approach toward a lot of things. Because remember, as I just put on the screen earlier for y'all, like when you're dealing with critical thinking and when you're assessing information, your voice matters. Not what Smash say, not what Wuja will say, not what I say, not what Asar say, not what Asar Mka say, not what Reggie says. Your voice matters. After you assessed all the data, your voice.
Your voice. That was one of the criticisms at the beginning there, the lecture feedback. Yes, but what do you think? So the marker, the reader of your essay, is going to be very disappointed if you sum up what are the main points of view on this particular subject, and then there's no conclusion, or there's a conclusion, but it doesn't include your view on it, your summing up. Because if you don't sum up, if you don't give your view, then you've opted out. And the reader's going to be rather frustrated because they want to find out, well, what do you think? What's your summing up? It's like the judge, you're in the court there, You've listened to all the evidence. They're very interesting. And then the judge is going to sum up, and the judge is gone. Hasn't said anything. Well, what's the verdict? What's your verdict? Now, sometimes it's not possible to arrive at a verdict in the sense of that there is not enough evidence to go one way or another. Maybe the evidence is evenly balanced. And it would be artificial if you flicked a coin, or if you said, oh, I just think this is very, very slightly more likely than it's more or less equal. So it's perfectly fine to write that. Based upon the evidence, it is not possible to arrive at a conclusion. And very often, academics will write that in academic journals. More research needs to be done. That's fine, as long as you've reasoned it out and looked at all the evidence.
And that's what we got to do. More research needs to be done. But we got to reason it out and look at all the evidence. We have to reason it out and look at all the evidence. That's me closing out. Peace.